Does sliding into the DMs actually work in 2025? You don't have to look very far through your feed on LinkedIn to come across the pitch slapping debate. Lots of people hate it, and some people claim it's the only thing standing between you and millions of dollars. That might be an unfair categorization. I actually like Matt's content. You should go and check it out. Regardless of where you sit on this, the debate is, I think, a fairly healthy one. LinkedIn DMs form a part of most multi-channel outbound sequences. And so to start off our experimentation series in 2025, we wanted to put a couple of different LinkedIn DM strategies to the test. So here's a quick overview of the experiment that we're going to be running over the next 2 weeks. Matt Jennings, who is our head of sales operations, and me will be sending DMs to 600 cold prospects over the next 2 weeks. So in this LinkedIn experiment, we're going to be targeting a specific type of person, right? The first persona type is the managing director, directors, right? CEOs, general managers, kind of that C-suite layer in B2B organizations in Australia and New Zealand where they have 3 or more salespeople, right? And then there'll be an additional kind of caveat here, which will be a bit of an eye test from us to determine whether or not we think outbound sales would be an effective kind of go-to-market strategy for them, right? So that's the first bucket. It's kind of like the owners, the MDs, the C-suite. The second bucket is the sales leadership at these organizations, right? So this is sales managers, sales directors of the same kinds of companies. Now, importantly, all of these organizations need to have more than 3 salespeople, because what we're looking to do is help their salespeople become more efficient in the way that they run outbound prospecting. The approach that we're going to be taking on LinkedIn is one that we've used fairly extensively in the past, and it relies really heavily on personalized video and voice messages inside the DMs. Now, the important thing here is that we have to get connected to these prospects before we can message them, right? Through LinkedIn InMails, we don't have the ability to embed video messages or to send audio messages. So the first step in this experiment is to figure out what is the best way to get a cold prospect to accept your LinkedIn connection request. That's the first data point that we're going to be reporting on. And to test that, we're going to be sending connection requests in 3 different ways. The first approach that we're going to take is to send blank LinkedIn connection request messages. So no message, just simply send the connect across and hope it gets accepted. The second approach that we're going to take is to use a templated message. So the template of the message that we're going to use for this is, hey, first name, I have an actually personalized video to send across to you. If you accept, I'll send it across. If not, no problem. And then the third approach that we're going to use is to run a fully personalized LinkedIn connection request message. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify the names of 1 or 2 of the organization's salespeople, and we're going to reference that in the message. So it'll read, hey, name, notice you've got rep 1 and rep 2 on the team. Have something that might help. If you accept, I'll shoot it across to you. So the way that we're going to split test this is that Matt and I are both going to send 100 LinkedIn connection requests following each of those 3 approaches, right? So that'll give us a total of 600 connection requests over the next 2 weeks. Once we get connected to these prospects, the first thing that we're going to do is send a video message. Now, these video messages are going to take one of 2 forms. The first is that we're going to offer them something that they'll find truly valuable. So I've just finished putting together this outbound sales maturity scorecard. It allows you to kind of self-grade your organization against 39 core elements that you should have in place in order for outbound to be effective in 2025. Right, so in this first video, what we're going to do is we're going to say, hey, we've just finished putting this together. We think you might find it interesting or helpful. Would you like to see a copy? Right. The second approach that we're going to take is a much more traditional kind of sales-based approach, which is to frame a problem and ask them if they have that problem. Right. So we're not leading with a valuable resource here. We're simply going in and saying, hey, here's a problem that we solve. Is this problem relevant to your organization? The way that we're going to split test that is that we're going to send half of our LinkedIn connection requests the value-based video, and we're going to send the other half the pitch or problem positioning video to test which approach is more effective. Now, if any of the prospects don't respond to that initial video message, we're going to follow up with an audio message in the DMs. And the audio message is simply going to reiterate the message from the video message. So if we sent them the value-based messaging, again, we're going to offer to send them the maturity scorecard, but this time we're going to deliver that message as an audio. Likewise, if we send them the problem positioning messaging and they don't respond, we're going to reinforce that messaging again through an audio message. Once we get a reply to one of our messages, we're going to try to transition that conversation into a meeting. So we're going to try to uncover whether or not a problem exists that we might be able to help them solve. And if it does, we're going to try to get a meeting on the books. Now, we've set up this tracking sheet to allow us to track lots of really interesting data and metrics that will come as a result of this campaign. What we're going to do is we're going to share these sheets with you so that you guys can track along live. You'll be able to get those at the link below this video. But we're going to be able to uncover things like, does the time it takes us to respond with a video message impact reply rates? Does the day of the week impact the connection acceptance rates? Does the time of the day impact acceptance rates? Does the messaging type impact the ultimate show rate on the meetings? Right, we're going to uncover a bunch of interesting data here, which will likely give us a number of other angles that we can pursue in further experiments. So before we kick this off, Matt and I met to outline our predictions for the campaign, right? What we thought our conversion rates through each stage of the funnel were likely to be. So I haven't seen your projections when you haven't seen mine, right?
No, I haven't seen yours, no. I can't remember what I said, so.
Well, we'll see how accurate you end up being. Okay, so let's see. All right, so we said we're going to send 100 of each version, right?
Yep.
And then we broke down the acceptance rate by the blank LinkedIn request, the templated LinkedIn connection request, and then the personalized connection request. So we both said 30 on the blank. That's interesting. I think the template will convert at 20. You said 15, and then I had the personalized at 25. You had 35. And what did you say your early results were on the acceptance
So from
rate?
the blank acceptance rate, we've had 20 accepts from 50.
20 from 50, so 40%.
Yeah,
so
20,
that's running at
40%.
40 for you at the moment. So the reply rate, so you said 1 in 5 we're going to reply.
Yep.
I said 1 in 20. So that's like a big divergence.
A big difference, yeah.
And then value, I had 1 in 7. You had kind of over half. And then I had a much higher booking rate though, and then we end up like pretty close, right? So it's
in terms of the ones that actual booked from the...
Yeah, my theory here is like if you bother to reply, then I'm probably going to be able to get you into a meeting. At least, especially on the pitch one, because the idea there is like you're probably only going to respond to a pitch message if it's like relevant. Right. And so any replies there are probably likely to be positive because if they're negative, they're probably not replying. But that basically gets us to the same number, which is super interesting. It's just like a different drop-off point.
Yeah. So the value one for me is it's like, well, as long as we've targeted right, I'm assuming that they're going to find it valuable.
Yep.
And they're going to reply on the basis that it is valuable. But, I've never run this experiment, so I don't know.
We'll see,
but
right?
we'll see, yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't think we've tracked it to this level of detail before
on
anything that we've run. And so it will be interesting to see how the numbers come out, right? But it is interesting that we basically get to pretty similar numbers down the bottom. You think we'll convert more on the value by...
On the value, yeah,
100%. But we got to the same number on kind of the pitch messaging.
Yeah, interesting.
So that is interesting. I guess we'll see.
We'll see, yeah.
If you want to look at the messaging that we're going to run in this campaign, you can get that linked below as well. It breaks down the video scripts that we're going to use, the audio scripts, and then the different templates and snippets that we're going to be using for the LinkedIn connection request. So if you want to get that, you can grab a copy at the link below. So let me know what you guys think. What do you think our connection acceptance rates will be? What will the reply rates look like? How many meetings do you think we'll book? Right? Give me your projections in the comments. I'd be interested to see them. We'll post a results video to this experiment in 2 weeks' time where we'll reveal all of the numbers. We'll break down all of the key metrics. We'll look at those metrics by things like company size, by things like geography, by persona type. This should be, hopefully, a really interesting data set that can help to inform your LinkedIn strategy in 2025 as well. So we'll see you in a couple of weeks with the results. Until then, goodbye.